Good morning. My name is Derek Lawson, Director of Marine and Environmental Affairs for the Town of Barnstable. Today we are conducting a hearing for proposed changes to the Town of Barnstable dog regulations. Nina Coleman, Director of Natural Resources and Sandy Neck Park Manager, will be presenting the changes. Also joining us is Charlie Lewis, Senior Animal Control Officer. Today is October 18th, 2023 at 11:01 a.m. And with that, Director Coleman, could you go ahead with the changes?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to take a little bit of time to go through these changes. It's been a while since our regulations were reviewed. And so I'll jump right in by noting that during the process of drafting these regulations, we spoke with Animal Control, Natural Resources, Harbor Master Department, Recreation, Conservation, Structures and Grounds, the Clerk's Office, and the Legal Department. And that just gives you an idea about how many different departments are involved with dog control regulations, as well as our department. In addition, we reviewed other towns' regulations, so our neighboring towns, and then towns that were sort of equal to Barnstable, like Falmouth and some of the bigger communities nearby, to see what those communities were doing and try to mirror some of their dog control regulations. Once we had created a draft, we wanted to vet that draft, so we went before the Board of Health on both April 25th, 2003 and May 23rd, 2023 to receive their feedback. We were able to make some revisions from that feedback from the Board of Health. And that is the draft that we bring to you today. In addition to this hearing, I want to point out that there's new fees and fines that are embedded in this document. And both of those proposals will require additional hearings. So the fees will be brought before a town manager hearing on November 14th of this year for those fee changes. They're pretty minimal, but they are in there. And then the fines will need to go before the town council for a date to be announced. So that's the setup for the discussion of our dog control regulations, which is in the E code under 403 dog control. So the document is available online, and I'm just going to jump right in. The first change we made was under proposed is under 403-2 licenses and tags. What we decided to do with the blessing of the clerk's office was to change our dog tags to a calendar year. It's very confusing to have it as a fiscal year, which ends the end of June. So we're trying to move all of our permits and permits and licenses to a calendar year for the Department of Marine Environmental Affairs. So we'd like to move that to January 1st to December 31st. It would be starting this year, 2024. And likewise, we did look at other communities, and we're requesting a very minimal increase in the fee for a dog tag. It would be $13 for a dog tag and $10 for a spayed or neutered pet. I want to note that that first year, 2024, is going to have a prorate because to try to realign everything to the calendar year. So we would prorate renewals for 2024. It'd be about half of that, and then we'd get on that yearly cycle. Continuing on our licenses, we put some clarifying language under F about clarifying what a service dog is, and that was just to update our regulations to match what's required under state law. Under 403-3, restrictions of number of dogs per residence. Our existing dog control regulations has the maximum amount of dogs that you can have at a residence be 6, so 1 to 6 dogs. We are going to still allow residents to have 6 dogs, but we're going to require a multiple dog license for dogs, for multiple dogs on a property. So the restriction to number of dogs will go to 3 dogs unless a resident has what's called a multiple dog license, which is defined under 403-4. So this would be a residence, not a kennel, but like in a residential area. If a family would like to have 3 to 6 dogs, they would need this extra license. This is similar to other communities. And it would be 3 to 6 dogs over the age of 6 months. I just want to clarify those puppies don't count. And it would also be for residents with 3 to 6 dogs that have 2 or less litters a year. So it's really your hobby breeder, your person that really likes dogs and has many dogs. And we want those folks to be able to enjoy that. But we want to have the opportunity to potentially put some orders on those licenses to make sure that it's compatible with other neighbors. So again, I just spoke a lot. I'm just going to clarify it one more time. So it would be folks with 1 to 3 dogs. Those dogs would just need to be licensed. 1 to 3 dogs over the age of 6 months stays the same. 3 to 6 dogs over the age of 6 months and less than 2 litters a year would require this additional multi-dog license, and that is a minimal fee, and that would be a annual license, again, running on a calendar year. All right, and then under 403-5, a kennel license. So to clarify, this is not in a residential area. Kennel licenses are required to be zoned business areas. Folks, we do have kennels here in the town of Barnstable. Under A, we clarified a little bit more what a kennel is. It's a business it's a kennel maintained as a business for day and or night boarding of dogs, grooming of dogs, or which sells dogs born on the premises for more than 2 litters per year, must secure a kennel license. And again, that's not in a residential neighborhood. A little bit more under this, we're just clarifying that these kennel licenses would move to a calendar year as well, just so everything is on the same timeline. Under 403-6, this was our inspection of kennels. We added inspection of kennels and multiple dog licenses. So some minor changes to that to include those 2 activities as requiring potential inspections and defining the regulations for those different uses. Under 403-7, leasing and restraint of dogs, under A, we again did some language clarity on what the leash law is required. It's actually what Charlie's been doing for many years now, is required dogs need to be on leash, and we just clarified that a little bit more in our regulations through some additional language. Under C, we did make a minor change. Right now, when we find a unclaimed dog, we're required under these regulations to hold them for 10 days. We're changing that to 7 days before we can try to get that dog adopted. This mirrors the state law. So it's just reducing those days by 3 days, so that animal doesn't have to stay in a kennel that long. 403-8, nuisance committed by dog, removal of owner. We are putting some additional language in there, clarifying our expectations for picking up dog waste. In particular, we're requiring folks to carry what we call doggy bag with them to make sure they're able to meet that requirement. 403-9, I am going to take a minute to describe this one. So our existing let me just say 403-9 is dogs on beaches and in recreation areas. So the language right now for this 403-9 is that no person owning or having the care, custody, or control of any dog shall allow said dog on any town beach or recreation area from May 15th to September 15th without the written authorization of the town manager. And that regulation's been for many, many years. It's very broad. You can read that as really any way to water could be a beach. And we really felt like we needed to dig into that a bit more and clarify where dogs can be, where dogs can't be, and then more precisely where dogs can be. So that's really the intent of this, is to actually have an opportunity to look at our ways to water and see if there are appropriate places that we can have dogs. And this language was way too restrictive for that. So after a lot of discussion with a lot of different departments, because we don't control these areas, there's a whole variety of different departments that control a variety of different areas. We came up with the following regulations. First off, we wanted to, I'm going to put up a prop for this one, hopefully. From beginning. Okay, so 403-9, we are recommending that dogs are not allowed on designated saltwater bathing beaches. So that's different than before, which just said beaches in general. These are designated bathing beaches from April 1st to September 1st. So first of all, we do need to change our no dogs on these beaches to April 1st because of endangered species that we have on these beaches and some really strict additional regulations that have been placed on the town in the last few years. So we really need to, the state wants dogs off of endangered species habitat starting April 1st, and that's how their regulations are written. Second, a designated bathing beach has been designated by the rec department. It's already in their regulations. It's already in the E-code, which are these beaches. And so what we're suggesting is that this time restriction for dogs would be just on these specific beaches. Sandy Neck, but just in front of the parking lot, which is our bathing beach. The whole rest of Sandy Neck, as we know, allows dogs on leash. So the bathing beach in front of Sandy Neck, Colville's Beach, Craigville Beach, Douse's Beach, Eugenia Fort's Beach, Calmus Beach, Loops Beach, Millway Beach, C Street / Keys Beach, and Veterans Beach. Those are all bathing beaches. Those all have a lot of restrictions with regard to public safety, and many of those beaches have endangered species associated with them. So that's the first part. The second part is B. We are suggesting that on our designated freshwater beaches, we stick with the May 15th to September 15th. So these are our lifeguarded freshwater beaches. And again, just where they're lifeguarded. So not every square inch of it. And those beaches are Hamlin's, Joshua, Hathaway's, Lovell's. Again, in the lifeguarded areas. Again, that's a health thing. We don't want dogs on our beaches where people are going to be bathing. We don't want dog waste. That's always been in place. All right, so moving on to recreational areas. No person having the care and custody and control of a dog shall allow said dog on any town-owned athletic field, athletic court, cemetery, or playground without the written authorization of the town manager. So what we're doing here is we're defining recreation area. Before it just said recreation area, which could be kind of anything. Could be a conservation area. It could be, our Frisbee park. It could be anything. But we wanted to define those areas where dogs are not appropriate. And already our athletic fields are marked no dogs allowed year round. So we're putting in place a regulation so that we can enforce that. So again, we're trying to slice off, in cemeteries, there's a regulation that says no dogs are allowed in cemeteries. So we're trying to slice off that piece that we already spent a lot of time enforcing, and clarify what areas the dogs can and cannot be in. So that then leaves quite a bit of other areas. And so the way we wanted to write this is the town manager or official in control of said beach, conservation area, park, recreation area, way to water, or open space shall reserve the right to prohibit dogs from these areas for reasons of public health and safety and for the protection of the town's natural resources. So that really gives us an opportunity, or the other officials that are in charge of these areas, to look at each site and see if it's appropriate for our dogs or not. So again, at first blush, it looks like we're trying to get more areas with no dogs, but actually we're trying to refine our approach. So thank you for indulging me to go through that a little in depth, but I felt that was important. So that is the end of 403-9. I'm going to go out of this prop here. And we are rounding the corner, everybody. So 403-10 is dog park regulations. I put these separately. They used to be mushed in with something else, so now they're a standalone document. We put these together in the last 4 years or so for when we open the dog park. We're not actually asking to change anything here except the fine associated with parking at the dog park when you're not actually using the dog park, which is an issue because we're right there at a beach that charges. We went up to $40 for that to be consistent with a parking violation in the rest of the town. All right, 403-11, barking dogs. This is an issue in town, something we deal with and have to respond to quite a bit. And we wanted to refine the language on what a barking violation would be. And so we made some changes to that as well as increased the fine. The next one we made a change to is 403-14, vaccination against rabies. Our initial regulations were requiring that for dogs over 3 months, and we gave a little bit more time and moved it to 4 months. So it felt like a good change and more real to life. Then finally, 403-17, complaint investigation, nuisance and dangerous dog. So what we wanted to put in here is not just a dangerous dog, which we can all kind of imagine what that is, but a nuisance dog could be a dog that did excessive barking. And it's actually one of the situations that we deal with a lot and have to do town manager orders for, so we wanted to add that into this language. And that concludes, the last of it is penalties, violations and penalties is all rewritten by the legal department. So the legally is there. It basically says the same thing, but it has a bunch of changes in that. So that concludes the proposed changes. I want to let Charlie speak briefly, as he is the Senior Animal Control Officer, Charlie Lewis, and he's been doing this work for quite a long time, and these would be his regulations.
Okay, well, what we really want to do at this point, and I hope as an ACO, it never is enforced, but these regulations, but to use them as a basis for educational campaign where talks take place, and the net result is that less citations are being issued. We do require regulations for the better of the public safety and that of our dog population.
Great, and yeah, I'm going to echo that. We don't want this to be an enforcement. We want this to be an outreach and education. Unfortunately, we do have to do enforcement now and then, but we feel like if we clarify our regulations, streamline them better, and then further, jumping off from there, provide a summation of these regulations and a summation of where you can and cannot have your dog at the time of a patron purchasing a dog tag. I think that we will be, improving communication, improving compliance, just because people will understand them better. And so that's really our ultimate goal. And we really took many months to draft this because we really wanted to try to get it right.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, Director Coleman and Senior Animal Control Officer Charlie Lewis, for the comprehensive explanation of the proposed changes. The next steps is to submit the proposed changes to the town manager for his review, which is a 30-day review period, in which the public may also submit their comments regarding these proposed changes. Director Coleman, you mentioned that this information is available online?
The information is available online. Certainly people can reach out to us, and we'll be happy to answer any questions as well.
Okay, great. All right. The time being 11:21, I will conclude this hearing, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.